Welcome to the podcast. I'm Jen Blandos. I am the host of the Women on the Rise podcast, and I am at the Sharjah Entrepreneurship Festival recording a special edition of the podcast for the Sharjah Entrepreneurship Festival. And today I am joined by Rawan Baddour, who is the co-founder of Zest Equity. Rawan, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
So before we jump in, maybe you could tell our listeners and our viewers a little bit more about you and about Zest Equity.
Sure, happy to. So I'm Rawan. I'm a Jordanian Palestinian. I grew up in Amman, Jordan, my whole life. After studying in the US, I moved back to the region and started working in development. So I was doing kind of economic policy work with Ministry of Finance, USAID at the time. I've always had a passion for just impact in whatever form. And from there, I transitioned into banking, but also under the umbrella of strategy and consulting, organizational restructuring. And over 10 years at the bank, I think that passion for building, for innovating, for doing new things and kind of problem solving, I really developed. And I guess this is what brought me to where I am today. Realizing that I love to take on new challenges and work on innovating kind of specifically in markets that I now know really well, so private market, transactional markets.
Amazing. And you set up Zest Equity with a friend.
With a friend, actually. So my co-founder Zuhair and I started talking about 2 years ago. And it was a general conversation just about, we're both in banking, we've both seen how transactions happen, we've both angel invested kind of throughout our lives. And we were just talking about how interesting it was. We have so much access to information, readily available on your phone, on your computer. But at the same time, we feel that there's a big knowledge gap when it comes to kind of just entering into the venture space, especially as angel investors, wanting to kind of get your hands on the first couple of investments, etc. So we started talking kind of about how private markets work, how transactions are actually executed, and very quickly realized that there was an opportunity here to build something and kind of change the way people are communicating within this ecosystem. And that's how Zest was born. Zuhair and I have known each other 35 years, share a lot of the same values on bringing transparency and governance to private markets. And so Zest today, what we're doing is building infrastructure to make it easier and more transparent for you as a founder or an entrepreneur to transact and communicate with your stakeholder of investors, whether angels, whether institutions, whether friends and family. It's how can we build something that helps you streamline that whole communication process, information sharing process, and at the same time provide you with legal infrastructure in the form of entities where you can group investors to come and participate as one on your cap table or ownership structure.
Wow. And you set up the business in the UAE, so you're UAE based. What was the reason for UAE as opposed to maybe other markets?
Honestly, many reasons. The UAE, number one, I think has built a very unique positioning, not just regionally, I think globally, in its kind of acceptance for innovation, the way it actually not just accepts, but like really fuels innovation through the regulatory frameworks it's building, through the different jurisdictions and offshore kind of jurisdictions that it's building, the talent that it's been able to attract globally. So we felt like, one, this gives us a great foundation from where to sit and build, and two, it provides you access to the world. So you're between Asia and the West, and you feel like being here does not mean you're working for this economy alone, but you can really use this as a platform to kind of target markets all over the world.
Yeah, I find that's one thing that I think is so great about being here in the UAE is you are literally in the middle of the world. And if you are working internationally, that makes it so easy that you can pretty much be available for any time zone in 100%. The world.
100%. And even the way, the way the system is set up, a lot of the laws are based on best practice globally. So even, when you're communicating with clients, investors, anywhere globally, coming from this jurisdiction, there's trust, there's credibility. And so really, I think they've been very successful in building the right infrastructure.
Absolutely.
For people to
from. I've been a business owner in this region for over 15 years, and just to see how much it's changed. And I was thinking today about how 15 years ago people would be like, why do you have your business in the UAE? Like they would think that I was really strange. And now you speak with people and they're like, what? You have your business in the UAE? Oh my gosh, you're so lucky. What's it like? I've heard, the country's amazing. It's really great to do business in. And the country has done so much to really uplift that and make it such a great market for entrepreneurs as well.
100%. And you see it across the board, the collaboration between the different jurisdictions, and just, I guess, the quality of people that this place has attracted is extremely unique.
Yeah.
Different backgrounds, different skill set, different ways of thinking. It, honestly, I mean, for us, it just made a lot of sense.
Amazing. Yeah, everybody wants to come here, live here, work here.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned that you're doing angel investing yourself. And whenever I sit down on the podcast with somebody who is an investor, I always want to know a bit about what makes a company investable to you, that you're like, oh, yeah, definitely, I want to invest in that.
It's interesting because, I mean, I come from a finance background, and when I answer this question, people would assume I would start with, okay, the fundamentals of the business, the cash flow, the business model, and that's honestly, that's definitely an extremely important part of any decision that you want to make. So you need to understand the business, you need to understand, you need to really feel that the founder at least kind of understands where they're going, where their gaps are, what the potential path can look like. But for me, what I really value is kind of on a one-to-one person basis. You need to feel like there's authenticity coming from the founder, that the way they're approaching their business comes from a place that will keep them actually going, that's actually sustainable as well. So for me, I get to know the founders, I get to know the people behind the businesses. I need to understand how they think, how they face challenges, how they look at culture in teams, and just all these other kind of values that I think are fundamental, especially given how complex it's become and how challenging the world has become. I feel like there are certain core fundamentals which at least for me are extremely important. So yeah, business model, the values and the fundamentals of what shapes the person I'm investing in, and three, and I think three is the potential impact of that business. And for me, because I'm not investing in too many businesses, I'm very selective, I also need to feel some sort of connection with that business that I'm investing in, whether the impact that they're making, the industry they're targeting, the problem they're trying to solve. So that for me is also extremely important.
I find when I speak, especially with women, that female investors are much more concerned about impact than maybe guys are. That it's really interesting when you see that. And that's why I think, because a lot of female-owned businesses are very concerned about impact. And I see this in Female Fusion and the businesses that we have in Female Fusion. Probably at least 80% of our businesses are very concerned about impact and, can I change the world, or can I make a difference, or can I add value here? Which is really interesting. And I think it goes to show as well, because women are not getting the same amount of funding at all compared to men. And do you think that that's maybe part of the problem, that the businesses that women are setting up are different? What male investors are looking for is different from female investors?
So, I don't know if I would, say I wouldn't say that impact would be the particular reason I think that's causing this difference in funding. I think there are a lot of factors that weigh in here, and one of them, I suffered from this, or I'm someone who had to kind of really work hard to get over the challenge of coming into a male-dominated environment, especially while I was in banking previously, but coming into a male environment with the confidence to kind of play on an even playing field, and to just go in with kind of, okay, I know what I know, I'm confident, and just really, and not kind of bias or pre-bias or pre-assume that I might not get the same amount of funding or attention. And I don't know, so I feel like confidence is one thing, and unfortunately, the positions and the questions that we sometimes get, it subconsciously does affect you, and it does hurt confidence a lot. But I think for women, we have a lot going for us today. Number one, you have really strong communities building up. And you see that, even in the UAE, you see so many women communities and group pop up, and not just social, but you actually see them making an impact and doing really interesting things, whether in the venture space or other spaces. But number one, so you see these support systems start to come up, and then access to knowledge and information has also become easier. I feel like at least I was brought up in a culture where sometimes asking a question, especially kind of in the wrong setting, or what you would think would be the wrong setting, is actually a weakness.
Yeah.
When now I feel like we embrace this. Asking questions is a good thing. Arming yourself with people who know things that you don't know is also a strength and not a weakness. So I feel like there's also a shift in culture a little bit, and in our own, just us as humans, ask questions, bring in people who kind of complement you from a skill set perspective, and come onto the table feeling like you're on an equal playing field. And I think we're the only ones who'll be able to kind of bridge that gap and even out the playing field.
Yeah.
Kind of through our mindset also.
Yeah, well, mindset is super important, isn't it? And you were mentioning that, so confidence was a problem for you initially as well?
It was, yeah, and it's still something I work hard on. I mean, confidence, one, I get experience always kind of subconsciously affects you no matter what. So I've been in very difficult situations throughout my career, whether in Jordan, whether here, even while I was in the US. And so I've been in situations that really made me kind of take a step back and maybe sometimes doubt myself a little bit too much. But I think what you learn with time is kind of you're your own worst enemy in a lot of ways.
Totally. Yeah.
It's actually, you're going to hear things from, whether you're a man, woman, child, adult, whoever you are, you're going to be faced with situations, you're going to be faced with challenges. You're not going to like everything that you hear, but if you don't switch your mindset to kind of taking this in, not brushing it off, but taking it in and finding a way to come out stronger, then I think it'll be very hard to progress. At least that's how I felt, and kind of really trying to change that attitude.
And how did you overcome that? Did you do training, or you just kept showing up, or having the mental conversation with you?
I think it wasn't one thing or the other. I think one, I was forced to keep going. Yeah. So I didn't have the opportunity to go hide away and say stop. I had to keep going. Definitely, you have to work on yourself, and I think the coaching thing is something I started embracing only very recently. I was always I'm the type of person who processes things in my own head a lot, but kind of taking that step. Like taking one step further and realizing that actually these communities that you're becoming a part of can provide a great support system, and we're actually talking about these things, and it just generally will help everybody.
Yeah.
Will help you, will help everybody around you. So embracing that a lot more now.
I find it helps to have friends who are entrepreneurs, because then you have other people around you who get it. Because the non-entrepreneurial friends don't necessarily get what it is that you're going through.
Yeah, I think so. And I think different people doing different things will give you different perspectives.
Yeah.
And I think I've always valued that. I mean, the entrepreneurs, fellow entrepreneurs, whether men or women, you learn a lot from. But then people in other industries, other backgrounds, like some of my closest friends in arts, for example, I learned so much from on a day-to-day basis. So I think it's just about embracing diversity, diversity in thought, diversity in approach to problems. And for me, I feel like that's super, super, super important. And that's the only way you develop your own kind of mind and your own way of thinking.
And before you set up Zest Equity, you were working in banking and finance.
Yeah.
What surprised you with becoming an entrepreneur? Like, was it what you expected it was going to be?
And not at all. I mean, look, I think both. Maybe I came in with a lot of assumptions, thinking I've seen a lot. I've been through very challenging situations. But coming in kind of, at least in the field where we're in at the time that we came in kind of into the entrepreneurship world, and it was a lot more challenging than I expected. Kind of from a personal perspective, there's a lot you need. I mean, you need a lot of mental strength. Yeah. You really need to control your emotions. You really need to find ways to just continue to push forward, kind of balance your assumptions with what you're getting from the market. You need to work really hard and very proactively to kind of stay focused, stay true to who you are, true to your values, and at the same time leap forward. kind of as you go. And it's not an easy balance, but honestly, it's one of the most rewarding journeys so far. I mean, I've never learned as much as I have the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And I'm learning constantly.
I love the learning. Don't you love the learning? Like it's
my favorite part.
There's so many things that you can learn. Like my big thing at the moment, I love tech. All things tech. It's like, show me an automation. If it saves me time, that is like a love language to me. And I'll stay up late at night being like, how do I learn this? How do I get my team to do it? And everybody thinks you're weird, and you're like, no, but this is going to save me 10 hours a week. This is great.
It's small things that make a huge impact.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's little things that you do, like you say, and with us, digitization. So we're taking very traditional processes, like things that we've been doing for 100 years, and thinking, okay, we have so many important things to be thinking about as entrepreneurs or as investors. How can we kind of take all the in-betweens, all the operational hassle, all the paperwork, and actually leverage the technology that the world has kind of built over time to kind of streamline all of that. And honestly, I really believe it'll have a huge impact on entrepreneurs, on investors, and for any maturing venture market or private sector market. I mean, you see it in the US, you always need to take a step back and kind of innovate and try to do things better than you did yesterday, and then kind of keep doing that on a day-to-day basis.
The innovation is so important, especially like in the tech space. Like you're in the tech space, so it's continuously innovating. How do you stay on top of everything then?
It's impossible to stay on top of everything by yourself. I mean, for us, and kind of fundamental, I think this has been kind of core to the way I view life generally. But I feel like in order to be able to keep up with everything around you and actually have the right kind of skills to build something sustainable, you need to empower yourself by bringing together a team of diverse people who know different things, who can kind of add value in different aspects. And for me, I feel like this is super important. No entrepreneur, no leader, no matter how experienced you are, you'll never be able to keep up with everything. You'll never be able to build up enough. I mean, you can't know everything. Building the right skill set and understanding what these gaps are actually to be able to fill kind of through the team, through people around you, I think is fundamental to your continued learning and to a company's ability to actually innovate and make an impact.
We always want to have people smarter than us working for us, right?
100%. I mean, that's for me. That's the only way you learn. And I think everybody wants that, right? And for us, and even from a hierarchical perspective, like work for me, work for you. It's more you need a group of people who complement each other and who work well with each other and who will challenge each other every day and like will continuously learn. So for me, it's just about a team is about really working together and kind of pushing boundaries together. And I feel like building that culture and that mindset helps us all really learn so much on a day-to-day basis.
And have you found it's hard to find the right people? I hear this from entrepreneurs a lot, that it's like they're doing so great and then they reach a certain level and it's finding the right team to help take you to the next level.
Yes, it's definitely not easy. And I think balancing, I mean, it depends on also what you're looking for. But for us, it's always, how do you balance? I mean, we need strong, skilled, let's say, we need people with very specific, like a very specific skill set. And that is something that you could potentially find relatively easily. But then how do you complement that with people that share the same values, the same culture, that you feel like you can trust and build something with? For me, that's the challenge. So kind of complementing both, finding the right people, I think is definitely, I don't think it's ever easy. It requires a lot of patience. We all make mistakes, but yeah, for me, I mean, just, it's really important finding that complementary, just value in a person, and I think that really makes a team unique. And
as you build and grow the business, what are the plans for the business? What's next?
What's next? So I mean, today we've barely started touching this, like brushing out the surface of the problem that we're trying to kind of solve for. So we started by building these tools to digitize kind of the way transaction processes are happening. We are providing kind of that legal infrastructure to help founders kind of manage their growth and scale easier. But there's so much more I think that we can do in terms of providing value-add tools to kind of help an entrepreneur, not just on the day he's transacting or she's transacting, but kind of throughout their journey. And also, I mean, for us, I mean, our markets today are very concentrated within the region, but I feel like emerging markets, I mean, we're going to continue growing across emerging markets, and we definitely want to use kind of our base here to target a much wider, let's say, market and audience.
And the going global is, I think, every entrepreneur's dream as well, that they want to be able to do that. Because the UAE is really well placed, that it is the center of the world in a way to be able to do that.
100%. And I think it's, I mean, growth is, I mean, we all need to look outwards, but you also need to be strategic in kind of how you prioritize where you go and kind of which markets you approach. Especially with, I mean there are huge markets very close to us that you can kind of start with and then slowly go from there. It's just keep your focus, prioritize, be flexible in kind of just learn and grow, and it's okay to change your mind kind of, I guess, as you learn and as you grow and as you get challenged. But yeah, so definitely grow outwards. Just don't rush into it, and at least that's what we're trying to do. Don't rush and be very selective in how we grow. But yeah, we do have a couple of markets in our sights, hopefully soon.
Oh, fantastic!
And yeah, we're excited to continue building.
Excellent. Well, that I think is where every business owner wants to be, is going, what's next? What market? How are we going to scale? Sounds exciting, because you've had the business only for a couple of years.
It's been a couple of years, yeah. It's been about 2 years only, and we've actually only been operational for about 1.5 years now. But listen, I think, I mean, what we're trying to build is very close to our heart, in the sense of it's the community that we're part of. So we're building tools for the venture community, for the people around us. And I think this drives us forward and kind of pushes up to do things very fast, adapt very fast. And I love it. And I really hope we make an impact and help, whether women, male entrepreneurs, investors, but generally like people in the venture space. I think we have so much potential in this region. We have so much talent. We have so many great just individuals building very, 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 very innovative and interesting things. So we want to be part of that story. We want to be part of that growth. So I think for us as Zest, and for me personally, I love seeing this ecosystem just flourish and grow in the way that it has.
Amazing. Well, it's great that you've created a tool which is going to be such a powerful resource for so many. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today.
Thank you so
sharing
much for
your
having
wisdom.
me. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks.
And thank you to SEF. Honestly, this has been, the interactions here have been amazing, and every year
SEF is
unbelievable.
Great. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Thanks, Rawan.
Thank you so much.